Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to Guys at Magic. This is Hunter.
And this is Dave.
Today, we're talking about the spoilers that were released on May 20th of Modern Horizons 2. They showed us quite a bit of cards before the actual spoiler season that starts this Monday on the 24th. Let's just jump straight into it. First things first, they showed off the guy that's been on all the box art so far, and that's Dakin Shadow Slayer. He is a legendary planeswalker for 1 black, 1 blue, 1 white. He starts with 0 loyalty, but what he does is Dakin Shadow Slayer enters the battlefield with a number of loyalty counters on him equal to the number of lands you control. His +1 is Surveil 2, his -3 is Exile Target Creature, and his -6, which is his ultimate, is you may put an artifact card from your hand or graveyard onto the battlefield. What do you think of the box art main guy from the set?
He's pretty cool.
Dave.
For him being a 3-player or a 3-mana planeswalker, we've kind of seen in the past that 3-mana planeswalkers have the potential to be super busted. Realistically, he's probably going to be dropping with like 2 or 3 loyalty if you can get him out in the early game, and he scales pretty nicely in the late game too. Because I mean, if you do happen to draw him on turn 5, 6, 7, or so forth, I mean, he can drop pretty big.
I mean, technically, he would come in with 3 loyalty, right? Because it's number of lands.
Well, number of
3.
lands, yeah, but I mean, that's also assuming that you had 3 lands to tap for those 3 sources of mana. It's very likely that you can still get this guy out on turn 2.
Would you want him out on turn 2?
Sure, I mean, why wouldn't you want to rush a planeswalker out, especially since he has a +1? So he can Surveil 2, which is going to help set you up for your future turns. This is a planeswalker where he's going to be providing a pretty significant amount of advantage. And then also on top of that, he's got a -3 of Exile Target Creature. So, I mean, he's got some really nice creature removal there too. This is something that your opponent is going to need to deal with. So, I mean, even if this just drops with 2 loyalty, I think it's totally fine. Within the world of Modern too, I mean, kind of the golden ticket number that you want your planeswalkers to be able to survive would be 3, because that's going to be the point of a lightning bolt. So I mean, I don't really see much of a difference between having 2 loyalty to start and 3 loyalty to start. Well, then again, I mean, he's still going to get the +1, so I guess he will live. But never mind. Disregard my last point.
It can also just be a 3-mana Exile Target Creature if you really needed it.
I think that is god awful.
Yeah, well, yeah, this is for Modern. I was going to say in Standard it's not bad, but yeah, you're right.
Yeah, none of this set will end up coming into Standard.
I know that. Do you want to remind the people what Surveil is?
So Surveil is, you got to look at the top 2 cards. Well, in this case, you got to look at the top 2 cards of your library. You can either kind of like scry it, where you can put it back on the top of your library, or if you don't want those cards, you could pitch it to your graveyard instead, which is really nice because it also feeds into his ult, which is very easily attainable. Seeing that there is a world in which he drops with just 6 loyalty, so you can do it immediately.
Oh yeah, this guy would be a great late game grab.
Yep. And then the ultimate being, I mean, you can grab any artifact from your graveyard, or I'm sorry, from your hand or graveyard, so he has even more just functionality with that. Put it onto the battlefield. I like how it says put too, and not even like cast for free or anything like that. So it's very difficult to interact with that kind of an ability.
Yeah, that's true. You just play it. Thoughts on the artwork? Because it's not exactly the same artwork as what's on the actual box, you know?
They kind of never are.
Yeah, sometimes.
I feel like the set artwork is never really actually like the card artwork. I don't know. I do look at it like this though. I mean, there's 3 different versions or 3 different artworks for this card, and like I don't know what the hell the difference is. It seems so confusing to me as to like how it is that you can pull these, and like what packs contain what.
Yeah, it's I mean, these 3 that we're looking at, you can pull them in any set.
It also kind of bothers me actually now that I'm really looking at the artwork on this. That who is it? It's Richard Kane Ferguson got to do 2 of the 3 artworks, and the 2 that he did, like you can tell that they are very similar to one another. There's a couple of small changes, and then you have the borderless version, which just kind of strikes me as odd. It doesn't really fit the theme of the other two artworks, given that, yeah, I know it has a different artist. And then the other thing is it looks much more of like a, like I guess the new era artwork where it's just, I don't know, it looks very computer imagey.
Well, the thing with the two artworks that look the same is that's a sketch of the actual thing. So I guess it's like his early before he colored it and stuff. So
I mean, there's a couple other differences too. If like if you look at the statue to his right, the placement of the shield, his shoulder pad, there's a couple differences.
it's just like I assume it's just like a first draft.
Yeah, that's dope.
Well, moving on, we got cable coffers.
Ball.
Cabal coffers. Sorry, Cabal coffers. That is a reprint. It's a very exciting reprint that a lot of people are talking about. What it is, it's a land. You can pay 2, tap it, add a black for each swamp you control. So essentially, a lot of mana.
What are your thoughts on this one?
I love this card. I think this is a great card, especially in like a commander deck that you run in mono black. Broken. I think that would be, this card is a staple in all mono black commanders.
So this is a reprint for those of you who are unaware. This card at this point has crept up to like $100. Hopefully this drops the price point down by a pretty significant amount. I remember seeing this card for like $15 and kicking myself in the ass now that I didn't pick it up then because I don't own one of these. But yeah, fantastic card whenever it comes to EDH. I mean, I could probably still see a hope where this sees play. With like fringe decks in modern.
Anything just mono black, I think this fits in.
Honestly, not even just mono black, dude. Just because I mean, like the mana base that you're going to be playing with, whenever it comes to modern or whenever it comes to commander, which is where you're really going to start to see this card, you're going to start to see you're going to start to see like a lot of shocks. You're going to start to see a lot of lands with multiple types on it. I don't know. Cabal Coffers is an excellent card, obviously so in mono black. I still think it's an excellent card if you're playing maybe 2 colors. 3 or more, it starts to lose quite a bit of value at that point. But I mean, 1 or 2, I think this is still absolutely solid.
This is like the one card they've shown off so far that I really want to open. I would love to own this card. Throw it in any deck that runs black.
I was gonna say I don't think you have a mono black deck, and I don't even know if you do have a 2-color deck that runs black.
I got some black. The color I hate is blue. Okay.
I know you're dumb.
All right, let's go ahead and move on. We got Thrasta Tempest's Roar. That is a legendary dinosaur. It is 2 green and 10 generic mana for a 7/7. It says this spell costs 3 less to cast for each other spell cast this turn. It has trample and haste, and a new text, trample over planeswalkers, which means this creature can deal excess combat damage to the controller of the planeswalker it's attacking. It also says Thrasta Tempest Roar has hexproof as long as it enters the battlefield this turn. Lots of text on that card.
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
We have Dino Storm, essentially, because I mean, look at the artwork of the card. It's a storm on a dinosaur.
I mean, it's dope artwork. I know that this thing is going to be significantly reduced in cost, but I mean, it starts at 12, and I don't know. I'm going to make the same like misevaluation as what I did with something like Hogak, because Hogak was a big dumb beater that was stupidly overcosted, but had a reduction cost on it, and I thought the card was absolute trash whenever it first got spoiled for Modern Horizons 1. And it turned out to be so stupidly broken that it completely warped the format and needed to get banned. So our Reptar here probably going to follow the same suit. I'm going to say it's a horrible card, and I'm going to be absolutely wrong.
Hey, I got Dino Tribal as a commander, so this might go straight into that. All right.
I mean, within EDH, I think this card is cute, and we'll talk more about all the legendary creatures and stuff later on. I think this card is cute at best.
Yeah.
It does have.
I like the trample over planeswalker text. That's new. I like it.
Ask you.
I like that a lot.
I think that's neat. This kind of, in many ways, reminds me of Questing Beast, Number one, because it has a million different words and abilities on this thing, and I'm going to forget that this has hex proof the turn that you play it. So I'm going to respond to this and try to kill it, and it's not going to work well. And then also that weird interaction with planeswalkers too, with it being able to trample over them. I think that's cool.
Yeah, people are speculating that there's going to be other cards to say like trample over mages or trample over specific wording, trample over goblins, which would be interesting. But I really like the trample over planeswalker thing, and I think it's a really cool addition to Magic.
I think it's neat. I don't think it needs to be on every card, but I feel
Yeah.
like it fits the theme for something that's big and stompy.
They have said that they are pushing, like, in the description of all these boxes and stuff they're selling, not only is it for Modern, they're making cards for Commander. So they understand that Commander is a huge format in Magic now. And this is one of those cards where I don't know if it's necessarily for Modern, but more of like, hey, Commander people, we got some stuff for you.
I mean, that's kind of like if you remember from Modern Horizons 1, whenever they were doing the spoiler season for that, a lot of people had called them out and had said, "Wow, this is like Commander Masters."
I would love a
Because,
Commander Masters.
I
We
mean,
have Commander
you
Legends.
literally
Yeah.
got one like a year ago, if that.
The more powerful, man.
I don't know. I don't know how to evaluate this card because, like I said, it's got the Hogak feel to it to me, where I'm gonna say it's crap, and then this thing is gonna be stupidly broken.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll talk more about it when we get to our video of legendaries about Commander. Moving on, we have Grief. Grief is a 2 black, 2 generic, 3/2 elemental incarnation that has menace. And when it says, when Grief enters a battlefield, target opponent reveals their hand, you choose a non-land card from it, that player discards that card. It also has Evoke, exile that card from your hand. Essentially a creature with Thoughtseize. What do you think about this card?
My first thought on this actually is from an aesthetic point of view, I actually hate the fact that this thing is named Grief. Because my first thought on this was like, oh, this is going to be something like Hatred or Wonder, or what was the green one? It's like Genesis, where it's one of those cards where like it does something like small on itself, and then if it and a like basic land type of the corresponding color is in your graveyard, then it gives that ability to like the rest of your board. So I think just from an aesthetic point of view, I hate the fact that this thing is just named Grief. Because it makes me feel like
I hate the name
part
of
it. It makes me feel like it needs to be part of like that kind of creature, like that kind of a cycle.
Apparently, people are talking about there is going to be a whole cycle for every color of Grief.
I can see that. I can see that. I hope they're not all in Mythic though, because that would eat up quite a bit of the Mythic slots. I mean, we already know that the white one's probably going to suck. I don't know. You can evoke it and target opponent gains 5 life or something.
Hey, dude, people are talking about red destroy land.
No. Wizards hates land destruction. As amazing as something like that would be, actually, I'm not even going to say amazing. That would be honestly terrifying. And I think that we do need answers to lands, but I don't know. They're never going to print something like that.
We'll see. The artwork of this reminds me of the shadow figure from Game of Thrones.
Yeah, the whole like the character that was there for like 30 seconds.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it reminds me of, man. Elemental incarnation.
All right. So as far as like what this card actually does, what are your thoughts on it?
I like it. I think it's pretty easy to drop with the evoke. It's a quick Thoughtseize. It's on a creature too. Not bad. I like it. It's got menace. It's even better.
I mean,
I think it's a solid card. 4-drop, 3/2, menace, Thoughtseize.
So paying 4 mana for and you keep saying Thoughtseize with this. I'm gonna go ahead and I mean this one doesn't make you lose life, so that's cute.
It's
but
a little better for Thoughtseize then, huh?
it depends because sometimes you actually do want the life loss. It depends on what kind of deck you're playing. If you're playing with like a Death Shadow deck, for example, the Thoughtseize is just, in my opinion, strictly better because it does make you lose the life, and then also on top of that because it is a sorcery, whereas this one is a creature. So I think that deck actually does still lean in that direction. I think that this is cool, and that like if you don't need to mess around with your opponent's hand, this is totally fine as a creature. Or like if you do happen to draw this in the mid to late portion of the game, like top decking a Thoughtseize sucks because chances are your opponent either A, it doesn't have a hand left or much of a hand, or B, you've already Inquisitioned or Thoughtseize, peeked at their hand in some way. So you already know what you need to get rid of. And sometimes you just don't need to necessarily take a card, or you don't have a target to take. So it's cool that this has like the potential upside there, and that like you can cast it later on, and it still poses a threat. The evoke cost on this is cool if you need it in like an emergency, but it's gonna freaking suck whenever you 2-for-1 yourself.
I guess, yeah. That's one way to look at it. I don't know.
Uh,
I think people will build around this.
I think so too. I think that they'll build around it. I think that this card is probably not as good as what I want it to be, though.
I think it's good for modern. As far as modern goes, like I said, I think people will build around it, make a pretty cool ass modern deck. I mean,
There's
the
so many cards
testers,
out there that already do it.
the testers of Magic did make this at Mythic, so for a reason, I think it has the potential to do more than what we think.
There's a lot of really bad mythics out there too, though. I don't
There
know.
is.
This whole set is super difficult for me to evaluate because I know that for Modern Horizons 1, I was wrong in so many different cards.
I was wrong. All right, let's move on. Unmarked Grave. That is 1 black, 1 generic mana for a sorcery. It says search your library for a non-legendary card, put it into your graveyard, shuffle. This is a worse Entomb.
Yep.
But that's pretty much it. That's all I got for it.
So the issue that I happen to have is that like Entomb is a very, very good card. And then like the next runner up, I don't even know what the next runner up is. So I mean, I guess this is like your plan B, but it's not good.
Hmm.
It costs more and it's more restrictive as to what it is you can grab. This seems like a really just
Entomb is also instant.
see. Okay, so I even forgot about the fact that that's instant. This is worse
It's
on
so much
so
worse.
many different levels. But I don't know what your I don't know what your like 5th copy of Entomb is. If you need to run something like that, I mean, you can run an Unmarked Grave because I think that the backup plan is what you're self-milling and trying to get something, or I don't know what the next best card past Entomb would be. So maybe this is it. Maybe this is your 5th copy if you really need it.
See, I was thinking about putting this in Alicia, just as an extra thing if I can draw it faster, so I can put Anger into the graveyard faster. But
Oh,
even
don't get me
then,
wrong. Okay, actually, 2 things that I'm going to correct myself on. Number 1, I was specifically looking at this for the eyes of modern.
Yeah.
Within Commander itself, I think this card is significantly better than what we've been giving it credit for. Paying 2 mana in Commander, totally fine for you to still be able to do this effect. There's really not a massive difference between paying 1 and paying 2 in EDH. The other thing that I just realized about this card that I think can actually makes this much more powerful than what I thought. It says non-legendary card. It never says creature on here.
Right.
So Entomb grabs a creature. I misread this card. I think this might actually be pretty decent.
That's true. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I didn't notice it didn't say creature either. So yeah, I guess this is a different card. This is a different card.
Yeah, and in which case, like that kind of bothers me. An unmarked grave. I'm grabbing an artifact with this.
Go for it, man.
What am I doing? Am I burying my toys in the backyard? All right.
All right. Moving on. Rishadan Dockhand. That is a 1 blue Merfolk. That's a 1/2. It has Island Walk, which means this creature can't be blocked as long as a defending player controls an island. It also has pay 1, tap him, tap target land.
What are your initial thoughts? You go. We'll take turns from here.
I'll go first. I think this card is amazing. I like this card a lot, especially as a sideboard card. If you're playing against people that are running blue, just throw this in your hand. I think it's a great disruptor. And if you build on top of it, say you put a bunch of counters on him, and your opponent has an island, it's going to be an issue. That's my thoughts.
Interesting. Okay. I also love this card, but I love this card for the exact. I love this card for the other ability. I think you're oogly googly about this because of the fact that it's one drop with Island Walk. I think that is great. Paying 1 mana and being able to tap down target land is fantastic. If they do happen to have a troublesome land that they are playing with, you can just tap it down. And I mean, typically, like, you're either going to start choking them off of mana, which is fantastic for you, or if they have a land with an ability on it, most lands with abilities do require them still to tap.
Mm-hmm.
So once again, you're blanking whatever troublesome land you're running up against. I love this card for the other ability. I think we both agree, though. This is fantastic.
Yeah, it's a great card. I think they knocked it out of the park, making it a rare too, instead of going like. I'm glad they didn't make it more than a rare. I think
I mean,
it's perfectly good at rare.
yeah, in a limited environment, I think anything less than a rare, and this would just be really annoying to go up against because, like, if you're playing in a draft environment, your opponent potentially has like 2 or 3 of these things. Your life is just going to suck, and they're not winning if they're spending all of their mana to make sure that all of your lands are getting tapped down.
Yep. Yep. Well, I think we're both in agreement then. This card's great.
Yep.
All right, let's move on. We got Profane Tutor, and that is a sorcery. It's a black sorcery, but it doesn't cost anything. It has Suspend 2, which is 1 black, 1 generic, which, if you don't know, it means rather than cast this card from your hand, pay a black and a generic mana, and exile it with 2 time counters on it. At the beginning of your upkeep, remove a time counter. When the last is removed, cast it without paying a mana cost. It also says, search your library for a card, put that card in your hand, then shuffle. A demonic tutor with a timer. What do you think?
You and I are so totally going to disagree on this card.
Go ahead, you're first, man.
I absolutely hate this card. I think this card is significantly worse than it reads, and I think it reads really poorly. I feel like this is like the Mox Tantalite of this set, and everybody got all crazy because they were when in Modern Horizons 1 with the Mox, because they were like, oh my goodness, Moxes are super powerful. Just like how tutors can be super powerful. And I've never seen anybody play a Mox Tantalite in any format. And I think this is going to find the exact same issue. It's like suspending this. Number 2 things here. Suspending it, you have to suspend for 2, which means you're telegraphing your play. You're telling your opponent, hey, I'm going to go find my combo piece, or hey, I'm going to go find this answer that I need. So you're telling them, hey, save a counterspell for me, please. The other thing here is it costs 2 mana for you to suspend it. It costs the same thing as a demonic tutor for you to suspend it, and then it sits there.
Demonic is not modern legal.
No, it's not.
So, as far as modern goes, I think this might be the best tutor in black. I have seen blue tutors, but I don't know. They're trying to do something with a demonic tutor, but they don't want to make it too powerful.
I love the artwork on this card. I think everything about it just screams that it is way too safe. And I know a lot of people are going to try and argue like, oh, you can cascade into this. No. You just this no.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm not a fan of this card. You thought we were going to be opposite. I'm on your team.
All right. I thought you were going to love it. I mean, honestly.
Well, we liked the one before. We hated that one. We're moving on to Yusri, or Yusri. I don't know how to say it. Red, 1 blue, 1 generic mana for a 2/3 Efreet legendary creature. X, choose a number between 1 and 5. Flip that many. Yusri deals 2 damage to you. If you won 5 flips this way, you may cast spells from your hand in this turn without paying. Sounds like a lot of fun.
All right, I think you lead on this. Tell me what are your thoughts?
They just say this would be so much fun to do 5 every time. I think it would be so much fun. Also, they're giving it free when you buy a bundle.
Oh, that's so cute. You get it free. No, it's a part of the purchase price.
Yeah, but it's for free though.
That thing's already been. Oh no.
What do you think about this as far as a modern card, which is kind of weird?
No, I don't think that this is now pushing cards in Modern Horizons 2 that care about coin flips, I don't see a world in which this sees
I
any
think
play.
this is one of those cards again that they were like, "Hey, Commander players, look at this cool card."
Within there, I'm going to go much more into depth because I actually have I think this card stuff, it's beautiful for what which means sell for 10 damage every time
In
I
4
attack.
turns, you're dead.
Yep, I'm going to kill myself with this guy.
Well, we'll go in more the depth in this for when we get to our Commander videos, when all the spoilers are out. But yeah,
All right,
this
next
card
up.
for Modern is terrible. Next up, we have Timeless Dragon. That is a 2 white, 3 generic dragon that is a 5/5 flyer. It has plane cycling too. In case you don't know what plane cycling is, it's 2 mana. Discard this card, search the library for planes, reveal it, put it in your hand, shuffle. It also has Eternalize, which is 2 white and 2 generic. If you don't know what that means, it's 2 white, 2 generic. Exile this card from your graveyard, create a token that's a copy of it, except it's a 4/4 black zombie dragon with no mana cost. Eternalize only is a sorcery. Go ahead, start.
No.
Yeah, absolutely. This card is so trash for Modern.
I think that this is a callback. And I'm totally comment on the video or comment down below and let me know. I think this is a callback, but I'm not 100% sure on this. It's cool that they brought Eternalize back. I mean, I liked that in like limited. I don't think I've ever really done any kind of Eternalize shenanigans outside of that. It's 5 mana for a 5/5 beater, and there's just simply better things that you can be doing with that mana.
Yeah, who's paying 5 mana for a 5/5 flyer or 4 mana for a 4/4 flyer? No one's doing that in Modern. They're just basic flyers. It's bad.
Wait a second. Actually, I know this. This is actually 2 mana, 2 generic mana for mono white ramp. We fixed it. White is
Mono
good.
white ramp. There you go, dude. Just get plane cycle. Let's keep this card in your deck just for the plane cycling. That's it. That's all you need.
There you go.
That's it.
It's not even ramp. I lied. It puts it into your hand, not even on the battlefield. But...
Yeah, exactly. It's terrible. All right, let's just move on. We have Flametongue Yearling. What this is an uncommon card. For 2 red mana, you get a 2/1 Kavu? Never even heard of this creature.
Yeah, this is a playoff of Flametongue Kavu, which is actually a pretty dope card.
Okay. Well, this says it's got multi-kicker 2. In case you don't know what that means, it means you may pay an additional 2 any number of times as you cast this spell. It says Flametongue Yearling enters the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter on it for each time it was kicked. Also says when it enters the battlefield, it deals damage equal to its power to target creature. I think this could be effective. I don't think it's going to be that effective.
This is another card that like it's an homage piece. It's like it's a callback to another card that like is pretty cool. And for the purposes of this video, by the way, you should also put up a picture of Flametongue Kavu because the artwork on this it's almost identical. It's a yearling. It's a small version of that card, and that's kind of exactly what it is. Instead of it being 4 mana, it's 2 mana. Instead of it being a 4/2, it's a 2/1, and they do have similar abilities. Multi-kicker is cool. I actually really like kicker in limited and draft. I don't know if I'm ever going to play this set in any kind of limited environment. Just because number one, I mean, the LGSs are still closed. And then number two, I mean, this set's probably going to cost an arm and a leg for you to draft it. It's cool.
I mean, they announced they're doing pre-releases, so it's
yeah. I get that like Wizards is allowing pre-releases, but whether or not our LGS is actually going to hold one is a different story altogether.
That's true. I think yeah.
I mean, even just past that, I mean, just going into a draft, like this is going to be a draft that's going to carry like a Masters draft price tag to it. And I don't know, in the past, our LGS was like $50 to $60 to go draft versus 15 for a standard set.
Yeah,
So
I don't know.
I don't know. It's really expensive.
Overall, what do you think of this card?
I want to say that I like it, but honestly, I kind of hate whenever Wizards does these callback cards because I feel like,
They're always the weaker versions.
I mean, not necessarily. I feel like in a product like this, yes, they are, because they're trying to play around with like these cards that they want it to be cool because it's for modern, but they don't want to be too pushy or too edgy because they don't want to like actually make a playable thing for modern. I have a lot of issues with Modern Horizons 1. I think
Yeah.
I'm going to run into a lot of the same issues with Modern Horizons 2.
Well, I'll tell you what, man. Speaking of Modern Horizons 1, let's just jump into it. The final two cards I'm just going to talk about. We have Force of Negation, as well as Giver of Runes. These two cards were from Modern Horizons 1. They announced that they are reprinting them in the old borders, only available in collector boosters. Also, they announced not only are they only available in collector boosters, they're only available in foil and etched foil. What do you think about them reprinting these cards and doing all that to them?
Okay, number one, reprinting these cards. I think that it was very necessary. Force of Negation is one of the best counter spells available in Modern, and it bears a price tag that really showcases that. I mean, the normal version of this card was like what, $60, and the foil version of this was, I don't know, a couple kidneys. Um, I mean, I remember I sold a foil version of this probably like a year and a half ago for $160. And I can
Whoa.
only imagine that this has gone up further in price since then. And I mean, even whenever it comes to like, they're going to be coming out in this special treatment, so it's going to have like the old border and the foil or the etched foil. I don't know if this is going to drop the price of the other variants because this is going to be the new hot shit. I mean, it sells packs. I get why Wizards is doing it, but I think that this card actually needs a legitimate reprint because if you're trying to play any kind of control deck in Modern, you probably need a couple of these. I would don't know. I would rather the format be cheaper and more accessible because coming from my own personal experience, I know that it frickin' sucks whenever you do build a modern deck and you go out there and you invest $1,000 or more into this deck and you start to play it. And then either they ban something from your deck, so your deck just takes a shit, or the format changes because they push out something like Modern Horizons that just completely obliterates everything else that was already played. And then your deck is just no longer competitive, or your deck is just like no longer playable in that meta. I mean, in standard, I get it because there are these rotations, and I understand that. Hey, look, these decks have a time limit to them, but people go play modern. Number one, because modern is supposed to be a format where things don't change as much, and I feel like, I guess not here recently because this year with COVID, I haven't really followed modern too much. But I mean, with Modern Horizons 1, I feel like they kind of created a rotation to it, and it really left a bad taste in my mouth. So that's part of the reason why I don't like Modern Horizons 2. My thought on Giver of Runes, same kind of thing. Giver of Runes it's a great card whenever it comes to EDH. If you're playing white, you're probably playing this card. So yeah, absolutely. Get more cards out there. That way it lowers the price. Hopefully makes it more available. People can go pick these up a little bit easier.
Yeah. Well, as far as the only making them foil, I heard you had issues with that.
Oh, I do. I don't like foil. I really don't like new foils because they curl. They look like shit. Also, I know that these are supposed to be coming out with etched foiling, and we're supposed to actually get an update on what that means
This Monday, yeah.
tomorrow. Because I know that there was a lot of people who went out and they bought like the collector's boxes for Strixhaven, assuming that the etched foiling meant the same thing that it did with Commander Legends, and it doesn't.
Yeah, it was like, hey, you like your corners foiled? That's it.
Yeah, it was like a small little like it was a super thin line over like the text box.
Yeah, that was for the Japanese ones. Yeah.
Um, so I don't know. We'll see what edge foiling looks like for this because I have no idea what it would be.
Yeah. Well, that's it for the spoilers. We pretty much covered everything, and we're gonna be back this Monday talking about what they announce on Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday and also Friday. Spoiler season, baby.
Woo!
I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Leave a like if you did. Comment down below to let us know if we missed anything. You have different opinions than us, all that jazz. Subscribe if you haven't already. This is Guys of Magic. Later.
Later.